Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
I was having a practice where I didn't feel like doing anything. Coach Staley would be like, you're blending. That ate my nerves up. But I was like, you're right. I'm on this earth to shine. That was when it really just clicked for us. Coach is always in my corner no matter what, and that changed me tremendously. The coaches molded me into the confident woman that I am today.
Sweltering Sunday afternoon here in Shelby, North Carolina, the 2023 American Legion World Series. We began play here on Thursday with 8 regional champions. 2 have been officially eliminated by the end of the night. We will be down to our final 4. Lincoln, Nebraska, Cedar Rapids, Iowa coming up. Let's get you down to the field for the national anthem.
Eric Chitwood is also a graduate of Gardner-Webb and has performed with the Gardner-Webb Ensemble and Orchestra, as well as the Broad River Brass Quintet. He holds memberships with 4 professional music associations.
got Lincoln, Nebraska, and Cedar Rapids, Iowa, both battling for survival. Here in game number 11, the penultimate game of pool play at the 2023 American Legion World Series. Cedar Rapids still searching for their first win, but they are mathematically still alive in the Stripes division. Meanwhile, Lincoln, Nebraska can put themselves in a pretty comfortable position if they can get to 2-1, especially if this is a low-scoring game. We'll see Florence, South Carolina, and Brooklawn, New Jersey later tonight. Plenty of tiebreaker possibilities. We've been working through the permutations all day long. Hey again, everybody. Evan Leffler with a former big league pitcher, Steve Woodard. He promised to give me a lesson later today, so I'm getting ready. The final 2 games of pool play, there's so much at stake. One of these teams could be the American Legion World Series champion on Tuesday night, but to get there, they got to play well today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it earlier. You got to win, and you got to make sure that you don't give up a lot of runs.
I'm sorry, I took your baseball,
That's
so
all
you're
right.
tossing your pen in your hands.
But don't give up a lot of runs. You know, that's the key here. And, you know, Nebraska wins. They go to 2-1, and Iowa just wanted to get on the board with a win.
Cedar Rapids is a team that didn't really expect to be at the American Legion World Series, but it's been a magical ride, and they'll be the home team for this game. And Reed Burkle is going to get the start. It's not his first appearance of the week. He came out of the bullpen and threw an inning and a third the other day. I like a guy that plays with emotion, Steve, and
Yeah.
he's going to begin this game going against a guy named Kai Berkey. So we're going to start with a Burkle-Berkey showdown for the first pitch of the day here momentarily.
Yeah, no Burkle. He's going to throw low 80s fastball, you know, cutter, slider, changeup. You know, 1-0 in the regional, 9 innings pitch, had 11 strikeouts with 1 walk.
A lineup for Michael Lannick's Lincoln, Nebraska team. Berkey, Avasco, and Springer with Clemente, Gaines, and Peterson. Lessig, Beaster, and Sandy, the DH, batting 9th for the team affectionately known as the Rugs. Carpet Land, Post 3, the Lincoln East squad won a state title earlier this year, and this Lincoln program, led by Michael Lannick, has made it all the way here. They lost their first game 3-0. They won their second game 3-0. What will we have in store today? The only way Lincoln East can clinch their spot in the semifinals today is if they win in shutout fashion.
Yeah, it'd be over at that point, right?
If it would be over for them at that point in terms of knowing that they'd be alive.
Right.
If they win but it's not a shutout, then they'll be rooting for the right confluence of events this evening in terms of outcome and or runs scored / allowed. Reed Burkle struggling to find the strike zone against Kai Berkey. Berkey's 3 for 6 with a double. Little pre 3-0 count shimmy to get ready. Taken all the way. And ball 4.
Wow, 4 pitches there to start off the game. Evan, not what you want to do there to lead off guy on 4 pitches a walk.
First baseman number 7, A.J. Evasco.
Here comes A.J. Evasco. He was the MVP of the regional, where Lincoln got the job done. Their first ever regional title. Advancing to Shelby in a thrilling extra inning win over St. Michael from Minnesota last weekend. Here's strike 1. After missing with his first 5 pitches, Burkle finds the zone. Joe Volpe has the balls and strikes behind the plate. This umpiring crew in the camouflage, and that throw over to first
Very interesting.
was like a cricket pitch. No harm done. Leadoff runner aboard for Lincoln, Nebraska. Vasco starting for the 3rd straight game here in Shelby. He's got 3 hits and 8 at-bats, including a couple doubles. He's been swinging a good stick. As you see right here, deep drive to right. Meyer back to the fence. It's off the very top of the wall. Berkey's being waved around third. He will score. And Avasco into third base with an RBI triple as Lincoln, Nebraska strikes fast.
Yeah, and you can see why Vasco is committed to Kansas State. I tell you what, he can swing the bat. See a little bit of the power just right off the top of the wall there. And good enough for a double to drive in Mr. Berkey to start it off, Evan. Triple, excuse me. Triple, not double.
Don't shortchange him.
Yes.
On a different day with a little breeze blowing out that way, that would have been a 4-bagger.
I tell you what, he's fun to watch.
Here's Garrett Springer. He's had multiple hits in both games so far here in Shelby. Fooled by that changeup though, and he's behind 0-2.
And he's another one that's fun to watch. Missouri State commit.
I mean, this Lincoln, Nebraska team is exceptionally talented, and that's without 3 D1 commits. Line drive left field, 2-0. Avasco scores on the Springer single. Still nobody out here in the first.
Well, I tell you what, this Nebraska team is they're coming out swinging early, and that was a good breaking ball that was down the way there, and Springer was able to get his bat on it and drives in another one.
Ryan Clemente squares to bunt, takes a strike. Now we're just underway. There's going to be some 3-dimensional chess being played as this game progresses, even if the game is like 8-0 in the second inning. Because yes, they need to win, but they also could win and not advance if they won, say, 10-7.
Right. The key is win and do not give up runs.
Another base hit down the line for Clemente. Fielded in the corner by Dinesen and stopping at second, Springer. It's a smoked single. 4 straight carpet land batters aboard to start this ball game.
I tell you what, Clemente turned on that, and Coach Lonick was waving him to third base, but he stopped at second. They fumbled the ball around out there in left field.
So look, Reed Burkle, 5 straight balls, and then he's found the zone, but his stuff's getting knocked around. What would you say to this young right-hander on the mound?
Well, I'd just go out and give him a little breather and talk to him for a second.
No mound visit. Mason Gaines climbs in. He squares to bunt and fouls it off in the box. Gaines 1 for 8 so far here in Shelby.
Yeah, you just don't want this game, Evan, to get out of hand real quick here, especially here in the first inning. You can lose this game in the first.
Now Cedar Rapids, their best chance to advance, their only chance, is to win a very high-scoring game. In fact, they would need to win by double digits.
Right.
So it's mathematically possible, but it is an unlikely predicament, particularly when you're down 2-0, 4 batters in. But the folks from Brooklawn and Florence certainly keeping tabs on what's transpiring here. Bunted foul. The count evens 2-2. It's the simplest story for Florence. Obviously, if they win, they're moving on. They'll be the top seed if they go 3-0 in the pool. If Cedar Rapids were to come back and win this game by any score, that would clinch a playoff spot or a semifinal spot for Florence. And then it would be either Brooklawn or one of these other teams.
This next pitch is going to be pitch number 20 for Reed Burkle here in this first inning.
Still looking for his first out. 3-2. There's the first out as Gaines comes up empty. First strikeout for Reed Burkle on the mound here at Keeter Stadium.
Yeah, and a big strikeout for him, big out for him.
Tanner Peterson will be next. Infield still in at the corners. Almost as if they're anticipating a bunt even with one out. Look at the first baseman.
Yeah, you know, and you go back to, you know, Coach Lonick, you know, he was here in 17, assistant coach with the, you know, the Creighton team from Nebraska there with Pat Mooney. And, you know, you can see a lot of similarities with the way, you know, the way they coach. And you never know, they may drop down a bunt at any time.
Michael Lanick has talked about the influence Pat Mooney has had on him. Got hired by Pat Mooney, Creighton Prep, when he was 22. And he said that he attributes a lot of, you know, how he relates to the kids from what he learned from Pat. First and second, one out. Strike two.
Yeah, and you can see how they, you know, how they interact with him, and, you know, all the kids play hard, get along. And, you know, the other night, you know, the first game, or well, the second game they had where they won, you see the pitcher coming off the mound, giving him a hug, and very close-knit bunch of guys.
He's a PE and health teacher at Lincoln High School. Lincoln East, along with the baseball coach that won a state title and the Legion ball coach too. He's a baseball guy, always has been. Of course, he played in the Lincoln area growing up. Graduated from Raymond Central High School. You know what Michael Lanick's three sons' names are?
What is it? Garrick?
Garrick's one of them.
Brooks?
Brooks is the other.
And Garrick, Brooks, and
Griffey.
Griffey, that's right. I don't think my wife would go for that, but
Just
I like that.
Announcing that you are a baseball family.
Yes, and I think his wife, from listening to Mike Gleason over the last few days, was a very, very good basketball player.
3 balls, 2 strikes for Tanner Peterson. Runners bluff but don't go, but they'll advance on ball 4. The second walk of the inning loads the bases. 2 runs already in, and Reed Burkle is still in some trouble as he gets set to throw his 27th pitch of the first inning. But first it's going to be a pause and a mound visit. Here comes
Brad Day.
Brad Day, the Cedar Rapids assistant coach. I believe Brad Day is the nephew of Mike Boddicker.
Really? Did not know that. But he's trying to, you know, he's out there trying to just calm Burkle down. They're here in this first inning, bases loaded, and things can get out of hand pretty quick, Evan.
It's been a little bit of a return to reality for this Cedar Rapids team. I mean, it was such an improbable story, battling through the rain delays, making it to regionals, getting to Shelby. They jumped in front 2-0 the other day against Brooklawn.
Right off the bat.
And then surrendered 9 unanswered runs. And then another tough loss, a game against Florence in which they had a 4-3 lead but could not hang on. Fell 5-4. That's the story here in Shelby, and we've seen teams make it here multiple times and lose close games, and that's what happened to League City last year.
Yes, it was, against a good Alabama team, and then they do the same thing to them this year.
Really just making it here, being a regional champions, an incredible accomplishment. 0-2 to Lessig, and he cuts and through it. Owen Lessing is out number 2.
And there's the second strikeout of the day for Reed Burkle. I'll tell you what, that's a big strikeout there, especially with the bases loaded with less than 2 outs.
8th man to bat here in this first inning for Lincoln. Harrison Beester, the shortstop, fouls off the first pitch for strike 1.
And there was pitch number 30 for the very first inning here.
Be surprised if Reed Burkle throws a complete game.
He's going to have to cut down the pitches if he is.
Oh boy. Just a bit outside. 3-0 Nebraska. Springer in from third as Clemente and Peterson, the other runners, move up as well.
That ball just jumped out of his hand right as soon as it come out. Nothing the catcher could do there.
1-1. And this is down and away. Just have a base open, but now with runners at second and third, a little blooper could make this game 5-0. Three balls and a strike. There's no wind whatsoever right now, and it is hot out there.
Yes, it is.
In the 90s, feels like close to 100. And the bases are loaded again as Burkle walks his 3rd rug of the inning. They're affectionately known as the Rugs because they are sponsored by Carpetland.
Now they have somebody going down to get loose in the bullpen.
Bases loaded. Landon Sandy takes a strike.
Logan Wagemaster going down to get loose.
Sandy had the walk-off RBI single in the regional final to earn Lincoln their first ever regional championship and begin the journey to Shelby. They won the regional final. South Dakota, they took a bus all the way to Denver, then flew here to North Carolina with a couple stops in Chicago.
I think everybody had a little trouble in Chicago that was coming.
Here's the 2-2. Foul ball down that first base line. Yeah, a couple stops in Chicago. They literally flew to Chicago, then waited for their layover, boarded the next flight, took off in the air, thought they were on their way to Charlotte, and then landed back in Chicago due to an issue with the aircraft. 2-2, popped up. This should get Iowa out of the inning. Coming in to make the catch, Ty Denison, but the damage is done. 3 runs in on 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 men left. 3-0 Nebraska.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Just being surrounded by great people. I mean, I've been fortunate throughout my life since I was a little kid to have great people in my life. So Not only growing up, but with the Legion baseball, we're surrounded by great people that demonstrated the right characteristics that you need to be to be a good person going forward. So it definitely helped out.
Gotta feel pretty good if you're Chase Raymond Nelson. 3 runs of support before you even take to the hill. And his first appearance here in Shelby about to begin to face this Cedar Rapids lineup.
Yeah, we're going to see a fastball from 80 to 85. He'll throw four different pitches. You can look there in the regionals and the World Series. He has 1-0, 2 ERA, and I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch.
Cade Canuck set to lead things off for Andy Voles. Maddox Freeze will bat second. Noah Day, the first baseman, hits third with Andrew Robinson cleaning up. Mason Tripkosh is the DH with Schraden Lechtenberg, the catcher, hitting sixth. Noah's brother Michael at third base batting seventh, with Ty Denison and Reed Meyer rounding out the lineup for Prairie Legion baseball post 671 from Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Always feels good as a pitcher to come out there in when you come back out and you got a 3-run lead, Evan. I tell you what, it makes you feel come out and throw strikes, go right after these guys.
Well, 3-0 is a familiar score for Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, they've won one that way and lost one that way.
Do you think this game will be scoreless the rest of the way and they'll have another 3-0 result?
I think there's going to be some. I think there's going to be some scoring in this.
I would be surprised if it's still 3-0 by the time we are done here in game 2 of this Sunday afternoon. Cade Canuck had 2 hits in the first game here in Shelby. 0 for 4 in game number 2. That ball is just foul down the first base line. Well struck.
And I'll tell you what, in the regional, he hit 600. He was 9 for 15 with 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and he had 13 total bases. Wow, that's a pretty good regional.
600 is a pretty good weekend. Look, Cedar Rapids have had their chances offensively. Runners on base early against Florence, South Carolina, left them loaded in the second and third innings in that game. 1-2, way outside. And there were some defensive mistakes that stung. Uncharacteristic mistakes that Andy Voles just said that's not what we normally do.
No, we knew that they were a good ball club coming in. We've seen the Midland, Michigan team for several years here with the Dan Cronkite teams that come in, and they had to beat a very, very good team to get here.
Another 2-2 pitch to Canuck, and he comes up empty. Pulling the string there. Chase Nelson starts his day with a strikeout.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's that changeup that we were talking about. Pretty good changeup to go along with that fastball he was showing him.
So here's Maddox Freeze. 1 for 7 at the plate. He also walked once and has scored a few runs. An early 3-0 lead for Nebraska as Nelson misses inside. Both these teams lost their first game in pool play. Nebraska bouncing back to stay alive. That ball ripped down the line. And the interesting thing is Nebraska staying alive by winning their second game. It also keeps Prairie
Yes, it does.
Legion alive. Pretty well hit, left center field. Mason Gaines at the warning track. A minor collision. Not enough to jostle the ball free, and that's out number 2.
Yeah, Mason Gaines, very good center fielder. We've already seen him make some great plays out there and had to go a long way to get that one.
So 2 down for Noah Day. Noah, one of the 2 sons of the assistant coach, Brad Day. Left-handed hitter. 2-0. It's a big swing and a miss.
2-1 now.
Nelson looks to have pretty easy velocity. Doesn't look like he's overstriding, but the ball comes out of his hand nicely.
Yeah, no, he's, not overthrowing. I mean, everything on the mechanics look pretty smooth and not trying to overpower you.
Looking to finish off a 1-2-3 bottom of the first inning. Day able to foul it off and stay alive. The number of games that these 2 teams have played wildly different. Part of it is the unique situation in Iowa, summer high school season. That's a little trickler that'll bounce foul down the first base line. And officially, Legion ball records: Nebraska 52-11, Iowa 18-12.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird how they do it in Iowa. They start American Legion, then they go play high school, and then they come back to American Legion. It's a little different process than a lot of different places around the country.
I asked Andy Voles, why is there baseball in the summer? He said, that's a good question. Here's the 2-2, and that just missed. Nelson was a step toward the dugout. Had to reset. No base runners, but he's had to throw quite a few pitches. Here comes the 17th of the inning. And Day fouls it off and makes Nelson work harder.
And we were talking about the Texas game earlier with their pitcher. He needed to throw a lot of pitches and try to keep from using too many guys. And
beautiful off-speed pitch there for his second strikeout of the inning. 3-0 Nebraska after 1.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
American Legion just gives people a chance to play baseball, at the high school level, and even some kids that come back from college if you're eligible. And I think, for me, it was a good way to kind of put myself out there a little bit, and I'm playing against a little higher competition, and that's what I needed going through high school, and it was just, it's great. It's great. I had a good, Legion ball for me was huge.
The 96th American Legion World Series continues here in Shelby. We look at the Cedar Rapids defense with Denison, Canuck, and Meyer in the outfield. Freeze and Robinson, the double play duo up the middle with the Day brothers manning the corners. Lechtenberg doing the catching for Burkle. 3-0 Nebraska as we head to the second.
Second baseman number 2.
And the second inning begins the same as the first with Burkle versus Berkey. You don't seem as amused by this as I do.
Burkle versus Berkey.
Did you ever face a guy named Woodward? And it was
I did.
Woodward versus Woodward?
Yeah, Chris Woodward.
And didn't that make you chuckle?
I never thought. I was trying to get him out. Never thought about it.
And that's why you're a major league pitcher and I'm a dopey broadcaster. 0-2 and Berkey fouls it off. What do you want to see here from Reed Burkle?
I tell you what, I mean, I don't know who they have left that can pitch. He's going to have to just try to shut it down the rest of the way. Saw that last night from Wyoming's pitcher. We had Tucker Jackson that was just dominating, 15 strikeouts, and you just hang around long enough.
Outlasted him.
Yeah, you just hang around long enough and end up getting a win out of it.
Get into the bullpen.
Yep.
2-2 from Burkle, and Berkey pops it up. Meyer coming in, and the second baseman Robinson going out. It's Robinson that makes the catch. Each team has had a small-time collision in the outfield in the first couple innings.
Number 7, A.J.
Need some communication, don't they?
They sure do. Here's A.J. Vasco, who tripled to get the scoring started. Talked about the temperature and just the sun beating down. Pitching in the heat. Is there anything in terms of grip or tempo or just endurance that you would think about?
Well, you better be in shape. I mean, I made sure I was in shape, but as far as grip with the humidity the way it is, it's hard to.
Grounded to second. Gobbled up by Robinson, and quickly 2 outs here in the second. The number of games that these two teams have played wildly different. Part of it is the unique situation in Iowa, summer high school season. That's a little trickler that'll bounce foul down the first base line. And officially, Legion ball records: Nebraska 52-11. Iowa 18-12.
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird how they do it in Iowa. They start American Legion, then they go play high school, and then they come back to American Legion. It's a little different process than a lot of different places around the country.
I asked Andy Voles, why is there baseball in the summer? He said, that's a good question. Here's the 2-2, and that just missed. Nelson was a step toward the dugout. Had to reset. No base runners, but he's had to throw quite a few pitches. Here comes the 17th of the inning. And Day fouls it off and makes Nelson work harder.
And we were talking about the Texas game earlier with their pitcher. He needed to throw a lot of pitches and try to keep from using too many guys. And
beautiful off-speed pitch there for his second strikeout of the inning. 3-0 Nebraska after 1.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
American Legion just gives people a chance to play baseball, at the high school level, and even some kids that come back from college if you're eligible. And I think, for me, it was a good way to kind of put myself out there a little bit, and I'm playing against a little higher competition, and that's what I needed going through high school, and you know, it was just, it's a great, I mean, it's great. I had a good, I mean, Legion ball for me was huge.
The 96th American Legion World Series continues here in Shelby. We look at the Cedar Rapids defense with Denis and Canuck and Meyer in the outfield. Freeze and Robinson, the double play duo up the middle with the Day brothers manning the corners. Lechtenberg doing the catching for Burkle. 3-0 Nebraska as we head to the second. And the second inning begins the same as the first with Burkle versus Berkey. You don't seem as amused by this as I do.
Burkle versus Berkey.
Did you ever face a guy named Woodward? And it was
I did.
Woodward versus Woodward?
Yeah, Chris Woodward.
And didn't that make you chuckle?
I never thought, I was trying to get him out, never thought about it.
And that's why you're a major league pitcher and I'm a dopey broadcaster. 0-2 and Berkey fouls it off. What do you want to see here from Reed Burkle?
I tell you what, I mean, I don't know who they have left that can pitch. He's going to have to just try to shut it down the rest of the way. Saw that last night from Wyoming's pitcher. You know, we had Tucker Jackson that was just dominating, 15 strikeouts, and you just hang around long enough. Yeah, you just hang around long enough and end up getting a win out of it.
Get into the bullpen.
Yep.
2-2 from Burkle, and Berkey pops it up. Meyer coming in, and the second baseman Robinson going out. It's Robinson that makes the catch. Each team has had a small-time collision in the outfield in the first couple innings.
Need some communication, don't they?
They sure do. Here's A.J. Vasco, who tripled to get the scoring started. Talked about the temperature and just the sun beating down. Pitching in the heat. Is there anything in terms of grip or tempo or just endurance that you would think about?
Well, you better be in shape. I mean, I made sure I was in shape, but as far as grip with the humidity the way it is, it's hard to.
Grounded to second. Gobbled up by Robinson, and quickly 2 outs here in the second.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to be able to grip the ball. I mean, that's something you work on before you get into the game, but you know, everybody's got different processes with it.
The catcher, number 19, Garrett Springer.
Were you a rosin guy?
I try not to use the rosin too much. I mean, I put the rosin on my arm and try to keep sweat from dripping down onto my hand. That was the key. If I keep sweat from dripping onto my fingers, I'd be fine.
Garrett Springer steps in, takes high and away.
Tried to wear long sleeves, especially as much as I could, even when it was hot outside, to just keep that sweat from dripping down your arm.
Good breaking ball there from Burkle. Did you ever use sunscreen to either doctor the ball or help you grip the ball?
No, Evan, come on, man. No, I didn't. But you know, you had to figure out ways to try to get to where you could hold on to the ball. I think that's the tough thing, is some balls are rubbed up differently, and you know, you get a ball that's slick, and you'll see guys throw balls back in because they don't like how it feels. And
yeah, that's still an issue. I mean,
yeah,
just the inconsistency of one
is.
ball feeling different than another.
Well, I used to rub up my own balls in Milwaukee before I would pitch, so you know, usually the umpires rub them up.
Oh, nice pick by Burkle off the edge of the mound. And he has a much easier second inning than the first. Side goes quickly in order. Middle of the second, 3-0 Nebraska. The defensive alignment for the Carpet Land Post 3 from Lincoln, Nebraska. Lessing, Gaines, and Clementi in the outfield with Peterson, Beaster, Berkey, and Ivasco. Springer, Ketch, and Nelson. And Landon Sandy is the DH. "19 pitches in the first inning for Chase Nelson, including a couple of strikeouts. He'll face the middle third of the Prairie Legion batting order: Andrew Robinson, Mason Tripkosh, and Schraden Lichtenberg.
I tell you what, when I got a chance here, Paul Shortridge, which pitched yesterday, threw a complete game for Nebraska, and that's, you know, they won 3-0. Very nice kid, come up to me in between games and wanted to thank me for talking good about him on TV. I was like, man, you pitch good. That's all we could do.
What are you supposed to do?
I know, he did
You're just
a great
doing
job.
your job.
But a very, very nice kid. You know, and he pitched unbelievable yesterday.
You hear what his coach said about him after the game?
What did he say?
He said that Paul's got, quote, as big a heart as anybody we've ever put on the mound.
I can see that.
Said that team that they were playing against, Brooklawn, had scored double digits in 9 of their previous 10 games. So it was one of the most incredible performances he'd ever seen to shut that team down. Fly ball right field off the bat of Robinson. Clementi takes care of it. 1 away. You know, for any young player, it's cool to meet someone that made it to the show. The cool part of your dynamic with the kids is how much you enjoy getting to see the future players of the game.
I do. It's fun for me. I mean, I get to sit and talk with guys and ask them questions, and I mean, it's a good time.
Yeah, they think that you're there, you know, to like be the cool big leaguer, but you're really there to ask them questions.
I am. I want to learn about them. But it is fun when, you know, you start talking, because the guys that, you know, there'll be a lot of the guys that'll come up and start talking about pitching or hitting, and you know, and ask philosophies and ask, you know, why you do this or why you do that. So that's the way you learn. You know, Beaversdorf for Texas, it was funny. He pitched a great game for Texas that second game.
Yep.
You know, I was in the weight room with him that morning before he pitched, and didn't even realize he was pitching that night.
Wow.
And we talked for 30 minutes about pitching.
Did he spot you for your last few reps of, you know, the 500 pounds on the bench?
We were on the treadmill, so I still don't understand what he was doing that morning doing all that, but he did a great job on the mound.
2-2 pitch fouled off. What's the strangest question one of these Legion kids has ever asked you?
We may have to come back to that one. I got to think about that.
Here's the 2-2, and that drops in beautifully. Tripkosh down looking on the third strikeout for Chase Nelson.
Wow, Chase Nelson looking good. You can see this curveball, one of those 4 pitches he's throwing in there, and nothing to do there.
Could you teach me how to throw that curveball?
I'll teach you how to throw it if you'll teach me how to throw a frisbee. How about that?
Well, I'm confident I could teach you how to throw a frisbee. I have very little faith that I could actually snap the curveball with the necessary torque to do what Chase Nelson's just did.
Yeah, I don't think we can do what Chase Nelson just did. That's probably better than what I ever had, you know, also.
One ball, one strike to Schraden Lichtenberg. But yeah, you and me, frisbee, you named the time and the place, my friend.
You're going to have to do that tomorrow.
That's a looper down the right field line. Fair ball for Lichtenberg. And Cedar Rapids, Iowa has its first base runner of the day, as Lichtenberg earns his second hit here at the American Legion World Series. Michael Day coming up next. Third baseman, 2 for 5 in his first couple games. Climbs in from the right side with 2 outs here in the second.
Is that curveball again?
Late signal from Joe Volpe, but strike 2. Chase Nelson looking for his 4th strikeout. Shallow left down the line, long run, and Lessing makes the play. We are through 2 innings. 3-0 Nebraska.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
This memory, man, we played some good games, and I remember out in St. Pete, Clearwater, just getting in the car and traveling with the guys, whether it was going 30 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, it was almost like you felt like you were in the big leagues, because you were getting in a car with your friends and parents or whatever, and driving to a different part of the state to play against a different team that you knew absolutely nothing about them. Then you get out and you're both competing out there trying to win.
For all these kids, you win a regional, and then the adventure just is getting started, and they receive heroes' welcomes when they arrive here to Shelby, North Carolina, which for the 13th straight year has hosted the American Legion World Series. This community has taken this event really to a new level in terms of the hospitality and tradition and feel. And we are coming toward crunch time. There's this game and one more in pool play, and then semifinal Monday starts at 4 p.m. tomorrow on ESPNU.
Yes, it does.
Had no shortage of storylines over the past 4 days. Nebraska leading this one 3-0 as we go to the 3rd inning. Nebraska, remember, if they win with a shutout, that'll clinch their spot in the semifinals. If they allow a run, then things can get a little dicey. But the fewer runs they allow, the better. And Chase Nelson has done a fine job through 2 innings. 0-2.
And we said this thing was not going to be 3-0, but heck, it may be before we know it. You know, and you said something earlier, about, getting to the semis, and there was something last night at the end of that Alabama game, and Ty Lane and Ross Hickson, they talked right after the game. They were sitting down there talking, and then I saw, I know Ross, and I was sitting there talking to Ross after the game, and I asked him, I said, what were y'all saying to each other? And he said, I took a page out of Ryan Alexander's book, which was the Idaho Falls coach. And
strike 3 called on Clemente.
It was a good fastball there by Mr. Burkle.
3rd strikeout for Burkle.
3rd strikeout. I tell you what, he's starting to settle down, Evan.
Found a rhythm.
Yeah, a little cutter, on the outside part.
Lost his hat on the delivery.
I can see why. He's got a head full of hair, don't he? And I guess I walked myself into that one, but you didn't have to. But
your hat didn't usually pop off your head.
Right. But, you know, he told me, I said, look, you made it to the semifinals. He said, you know, you think you've had fun up to this point. When you get to the semifinals, it's going to be totally different, and you're going to enjoy it so much more with the fans, you know, being on ESPNU, different things like that. So, you know, that's a, you know, class act, you know, talking to him and explaining it all to him and congratulating him.
Paying it forward.
Yes, absolutely.
And Mason Gaines, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
It sure was. And I tell you what, that's the 4th strikeout there.
All of a sudden, Burkle has set down 6 in a row after 6 of the first 8 batters of the game reached safely. 3 walks and 3 hits.
Little quick pitch there from Mr.
That was interesting.
Yeah, he was trying to quick pitch, and he just didn't pick his leg up.
Why would he do that?
Just trying to throw your timing off. A little Johnny Cueto action. You know, pick it up, pause, be a little quicker, hesitate. After starting off and getting those first 2 guys like that, now he's 3-0.
Quick pitch might have cost him his rhythm.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It sure did.
Which kind of defeats the point.
It does.
(3-0) to Peterson. Rediscovers the zone. Peterson walked in the first, was stranded. 3 runs for Nebraska in the first inning, but it could have been more. Bases were left loaded. 2-out walk here. Peterson reaches with a free pass for the 2nd time. Owen Lessig still seeking his first hit here in Shelby. He's 0 for 8, has driven in a run. The numbers on the screen include the numbers from the regional. You like the Cincinnati look of these Nebraska jerseys?
Yeah, I do.
If you don't look that closely, you just kind of do a quick glance. It's like, oh, is this a Reds spring training game?
Yeah, and he grew up, you know, his dad was a huge Reds fan, the Big Red Machine. And so he's a Reds fan. I never asked him what if there's any relation to anything on the uniform to Lincoln East or Nebraska.
Reds have been one of the great stories of baseball this year.
See Mr. Lonick there, Coach Lonick.
Two outs here in the 3rd. 2-1. Well outside from Burkle. 70 pitches through 2 2/3. Needed 37 in the first. I beg your pardon, he was at 40 in the first and needed just 12 in the second. Runner goes, ball 4. So the ball has not been put into play this inning, Woody. 2 strikeouts and 2 walks. And it sets up a 2-on, 2-out situation for Harrison Beester.
Yeah, and that drive you crazy as a coach. You know, you get the first 2 guys out of the inning real quick, and all of a sudden you walk a guy with 2 outs, and then you walk another one. We see Logan Wackermeister going down to warm up in the bullpen, trying to rush.
Like deja vu.
Yeah.
Brad Day and Andy Voles were high school teammates Legion ball teammates, friends for about 4 decades now. Andy Voles played in the American Legion World Series in the 80s. In fact, he was having a conversation with a longtime statistician, JJ, and said to JJ, "Do you remember that home run I gave up?" And JJ smirked and said, "Yes, I do." And you know, to JJ, he remembers everything.
Yeah, he remembers everything.
And I think Andy was a little disappointed that JJ remembered the bomb that he served
for
up.
sure.
In Andy's words, he was a midweek NAIA pitcher. So didn't have great stuff, but loved the game, still does. After the mound visit, Feaster with 2 on and 2 gone. 3-0 lead already for Lincoln, Nebraska.
You know, and talking about JJ, last night we had a little scare with him. You know, we had the lightning strike and this and that, and I think it set off his pacemaker. Is that correct? And had to get the paramedics up here, but he was all good.
Back today at work.
And it was close up here last night. It damaged a lot of equipment and messed up the PA system here in the press box also.
Scary, scary weather situation. Runners go. Throw to third is late. There was a called strike on Feaster, but Lincoln moves both runners into scoring position with 2 outs.
Yeah, I don't know if he was trying to pull it back or what, but you can see great jump right there, and wasn't a chance right there to get him.
Good pick behind the plate there by Lechtenberg. (3-1) loads the bases. 6th walk issued by Reed Burkle, including 3 in a row here with 2 outs in the top of the 3rd inning. And here comes Andy Voles. And Wagemeister is going to inherit a precarious situation. 76 pitches, only 39 strikes for Burkle. And Voles with a word of encouragement. Bases loaded, 2 outs, new pitcher coming in.
I taught for 20 years, but I started forgetting my lectures. Eventually, he had to quit. The early Alzheimer's diagnosis allowed us to take control of the situation.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Hey y'all, my name is Tiara, and a little thing that I love about the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is that it has the perfect amount of spice to jumpstart my day. I just love how the biscuit just matches perfectly with the spice on the chicken fillet. Whoever thought of it, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Robert, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is the biscuit. It reminds me of my grandma's homemade biscuit. It's always buttery and savory. The chicken is always crispy. Then you add the spices to the chicken, instant classic.
It's the 2nd appearance on the mound here in Shelby for Logan Wagemeister, who's about to enter his senior year at Prairie High School.
Yeah, in that first game, he went 2 innings and gave up 4 hits, 2 runs. He'll feature a low 80s fastball, Evan, and a curveball is going to be his go-to pitch. Coming in a big situation, bases loaded, 2 outs.
Yes, indeed.
And if it gets any more than this right here, it may be hard for Iowa to come back from that.
There's a couple things at play, both the result of this particular game and then the possibility of Iowa trying to put some offense together to stay alive in this tournament. They need some big numbers over the next several innings. Logan Sandy with runners everywhere takes ball 1. Sandy lined out to left, his first time up. Wave and a miss. A good breaking ball there.
Yeah, he was trying to hit that one over, I think.
Runners lead from everywhere. Missed for that breaking ball. 2-1. All the runners, the responsibility of Burkle. 3 balls and a strike. This is trouble.
Yes, it is.
Sandy looking for something to drive. Not going to get it. That'll force in a run. An inning that began with back-to-back strikeouts has turned into an inning with 4 consecutive walks of the bottom 4 guys in the batting order. All with 2 outs.
That's the key right there. All with 2 outs. Quick 2 outs.
And now you got to deal with Kai Berkey back at the top of the order. It's 4-0 for Carpet Land from post 3 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Called strike 1. 7 walks already issued by the Iowa pitching staff, which is not halfway to the most we've seen this week. This should end the inning, and it will. But one more run across for Nebraska. For the second time, they strand the bases loaded. 4-0 Lincoln.
I've always been one of the most athletic ones on my team, but in my second year, having drops and things like that, I realized natural talent is not enough. It's always work ethic.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Pano AI chooses T-Mobile for Business for 5G solutions because T-Mobile helps Pano AI innovate so they can stop the spread of wildfires. Now's the time to see what America's largest 5G network can do for your business.
Another nice crowd on hand here at Keeter Stadium after the scary weather that we endured last night. But a beautiful day today. Sun shining in the low 90s from a temperature standpoint, although the feels like is much closer to triple digits. Nothing the Nebraska or Iowa folks haven't experienced themselves. One more run across for Carpet Land, Nebraska post 3. And now here comes Prairie Legion from Cedar Rapids to try and get some offense going.
Left fielder, number 5,
Ty Denison will lead it off. And then Reed Meyer and Cade Canuck against Chase Nelson, who's about to throw his 35th pitch. And it's chopped to the right side where A.J. Avasco will take care of it himself.
Yeah, big difference there with the pitch counts. You know, the Burkle was high with his up to, I think, 80 pitches. And you can see right here, the next pitch be pitch number 36 for Chase.
Here comes the second plate appearance of the American Legion World Series for Reed Meyer. He struck out in Cedar Rapids' first game here in Shelby. Foul tip off the catcher's mitt. It's quickly 0-2. Reed, a rising senior this fall. He's the right fielder today.
Ball back got him there.
For both these Legion programs, it's their first time making it to the World Series. An experience, win or lose, that they will never forget. And an experience that a lot of future big leaguers never had.
You're exactly right. And former big leaguers. I never made it here.
That's right. Three strikeouts in the first couple innings for Chase Nelson. And the 2-2. Ooh, just missed.
Mr. Volpe thought that was a little bit outside.
So Garrett Springer was asking about it.
Yep. Gotta talk to you.
To right field, Clemente. 2 gone.
Yeah, I like the uniforms. I like the reds.
The center fielder, number 16, Cade Canuck.
Back to the top of the order, Canuck comes up for the second time against Nelson. He struck out in the first. He did see 7 pitches in that at bat, giving the rest of his teammates an opportunity to get a pretty good look. But Nelson eventually did win the battle. This one popped up right side of the diamond. Berkey puts it away, and Nelson continues to cruise. He has set down 9 of the 10 batters he's faced through 3. Lincoln in front 4-0.
I was having a practice where I didn't feel like doing anything. Coach Staley would be like, you're blending, you're blending. That ate my nerves up. But I was like, you're right, I'm on this earth to shine. That was when it really just clicked for us. Coach is always in my corner no matter what, and that changed me tremendously. The coaches molded me into the confident woman that I am today.
Those new tiles are falling right into place until you run out of, what are those called again? Oh, right. The Home Depot app is made for doing that doesn't miss a beat, so you can find what you need fast and keep things moving in the right direction. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Well, Lincoln, Nebraska got the offense going early, Woody.
Yes, they did. Tell you what, a Vasco there. You can see why he's going to Kansas State, and that triple to drive in that first run. Then you can see the catcher, Springer, handling the bat well to get in the next run. I tell you what, these guys are fun to watch. A good ball club there from Lincoln, Nebraska.
2 runs in for Nebraska before an out was recorded. They scored 3 in the first, 1 more in the third. And again, 4-0 feels closer than it could be, considering that Lincoln's been gifted 7 walks in the first 3 innings.
7.
And they've stranded the bases loaded twice. I mean, this could be 8-9, 10-0,
yes,
4-0, much more reasonable. Wagemester is on the mound for his first full inning of work in relief of Reed Burkle. Greeted by Avasco, who tripled in the game's first run back in the first. In foul territory, Michael Day is going to have room.
A lot of foul territory here at this ballpark. until you get down to the lines. Yeah, toward the end of the lines there, it gets very narrow.
Yeah, but you would call this pitcher friendly.
Very.
More foul ground to make outs in than probably most major league ballparks.
Except for Oakland. Oakland's the only place that you have a ton of foul.
And not for long.
Yep.
I've driven by the Oakland Coliseum several times. I've never been to a ball game there.
It's an experience. There's not a lot of fans, I tell you. It's a good place to pitch, though.
In the early 90s, there were a lot of fans.
Yeah, it's a good place to pitch.
Which was your least favorite ballpark to pitch in?
Shea Stadium, old Shea Stadium with the Mets. I used to give up a lot of runs there.
Was it just circumstance, or was there something about
just the way the mound to the catcher looked? It looked weird the way the backstop was. I don't know. Just something different about it.
You were not sad when they tore it down?
No. But it could mean they had Ricky Henderson and Mike Piazza and all those guys too.
Garrett Springer receives the 8th walk of the game for Lincoln.
Right fielder, number 12.
I drove by the new City Field last night. Braves were in the 8th inning when I drove by.
I think they played a doubleheader yesterday, actually.
Yeah, it did not go well for the Metropolitans.
Yeah, 21 runs scored for the Braves in the first one, I think.
Great to be back here with Steve Woodard today. Here at Keeter Stadium, home of the American Legion World Series for the 13th consecutive year. 1-0 pitch, and a strike is in there to Clemente, who pulled back the bunt bid. Single and a strikeout so far today for Ryan. And that's upstairs, 2-1. Clemente is the only 2022 grad on this Nebraska team. Means he started college last year. It's one of the things that folks have said about Legion Ball is the fact that you face a higher level of pitching than you might in high school or even in showcases, just because you get older, more experienced arms.
Yeah, because you can be 19 years old and come back and play. And you know, we've seen some good pitchers. I mean, the play gets better and better every year. It's I think this is my 7th year. It gets better every year. You see better pitchers, guys that throw harder. You see some good defense.
Here comes the 3-2, runner going, and it's fouled back. Woody, I don't know if I've ever heard the story. You said this is your 7th year. How did year 1 happen for you broadcasting the Legion World Series?
How did I get here?
Yeah.
I was at the Hall of Fame. I do an event used to at the Hall of Fame every year for the Brewers, and was there doing it. And you know, I did that for like 6 years in a row there for that, and ended up meeting Steve Cloud and Gary Stone and these guys, and just small world. Running into someone, started talking about American Legion baseball, and that's how it all came about.
Well, records are made to be broken.
No, they're not. No, they're not, Evan.
We saw the single game strikeout record get set on Thursday.
I know where you're going with this, so let's just say no, it's not.
And it got broken a couple days later. On the same day that the strikeout record was set, the record for most walks issued in a game became a thing.
Yeah, let's don't go there. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, it's not me that's decided to go there. It's the Iowa pitching staff that has now walked
9 guys.
9 guys in the 22 batters that have stepped to the plate.
And out of those 9 batters, that just kind of, you know, you look at that Nebraska number there, 4. So they've left bases loaded twice.
0-2. That ball hammered but foul. Another 0-2 from Wagamester. Was there a number of walks when you would take the mound that you sort of said, okay, I can have 1 or 2, or was it all kind of situational or result-based? Strike 3 called there on Gaines.
Yeah, good curveball right there to get Gaines looking. You know, it was more about, you know, I was a guy that was going to walk less than 2 guys per 9 innings. I was about a 1.8 guy per 9 innings, so it was all situational for me. Throw around someone, you know, walk them on purpose, or
Fouled back by Peterson. It's interesting. Gaines just struck out for the 3rd time in 4 innings. Peterson has drawn 2 walks in his first 2 plate appearances for the Spartans. This Lincoln East team seeking to become the 2nd ever Nebraska team to win the American Legion World Series. The first was Omaha McDevitt's in 1939. So it's been a while since the Nebraska team has won.
And you know, and like we said, Coach Lonick was on the team that finished runner-up in 17. He was the assistant coach there with Pat Mooney. They got beat by Nevada.
Runners lead first and second with 2 outs in a 4-0 game. Peterson swings through the high fastball, and the count evens 2-2. Wagemeister fires. Line toward the gap in right center. That's trouble. Springer coming around from second. Clemente will stop at third. And it's 5-0 Lincoln. 2 walks and now an RBI hit for Tanner Peterson.
You know, Coach Long's been waiting for this to happen here, and Tanner Peterson, I tell you what, took a very good curveball into right center to drive in Mr. Springer.
Number 6, Owen Lessing.
So that's now 4 of the 9 guys who have walked have scored. And that will end the inning. Nice little play behind second base by the shortstop Maddox Freeze, but the damage done. Another run in. 2 more runners left for Lincoln, but it's 5-0 after 3.5.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
I watched my sons played. Like they played like in the Junior Legion program and Legion programs. It was good for them. I think anytime you can play, it's good for you. And so the more games you play, the more you learn.
So this is getting interesting. A 5-0 lead for Nebraska. We go to the last of the 4th. Chase Nelson will try to keep it rolling. Wonder if he's familiar with the exact situation that Nebraska is dealing with right now.
You know, I don't think so. You can see his numbers there: 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs. You know, he probably just wants to, you know, like coach, just win the game. Just win the game. And
so here's the deal: if they are able to win this game in shutout fashion, it clinches their spot, and it basically turns the next round's game between Florence and Brooklawn into a quarterfinal, where the winner of that game would move on.
Right. Makes it very interesting.
If Nebraska were to win this game 5-4, then it wouldn't be that simple. Then there's a score in the next round where perhaps both Brooklawn and Florence could advance if Brooklawn won the game by, 2-1 or something like that.
Right.
But from Nebraska's perspective, they know that if they can keep this Cedar Rapids, Iowa offense off the board, they will be playing tomorrow for sure. And Florence and Brooklawn, I think both those teams would love to see Cedar Rapids put a crooked number on the board here against Chase Nelson.
And you wonder if they're sitting down there watching. They're probably taking BP down there. And
Maddox Freeze leads off the last of the fourth. Chase Nelson has had some lengthy breaks in the dugout in between his half innings on the hill, because there really hadn't been many quick innings for the Nebraska offense. Little looper over the shortstop. That'll be down for a leadoff single. Maddox Freeze is aboard with his second hit of the weekend. First of this game for Maddox Freeze, and just the second hit of the game for Cedar Rapids, Iowa. But they've got the leadoff man on for the first time, and Noah Day will step in next. Climbing in from the left side. Third base side, Peterson in foul ground. And Noah Day is done quickly in his second AB of the day.
you know, I wonder, I'm sitting here watching Coach Lonick, you know, they're moving the outfield over here and there and, you know, infield in different places. I wonder how good of a scouting report he has on these guys. You know, you wonder sometimes. I mean, you know, there's so much video out there now and games that you could maybe pull something up from or talk with someone.
Yeah, coaches have connections.
Yeah.
Hard shot left side past Beaster at short. And Andrew Robinson with the second hit of the inning moves Freeze up to second base. First and second, one out. Mason Tripkosh will be next. Folks from Florence and Brooklawn are like, all right, let's go Iowa. Let's get something cooking. And right now, Lincoln's only allowed 3 runs. Florence has allowed 4. Brooklawn has allowed 5. And if all 3 of those teams were to finish 2-1, the runs allowed metric is the one that is the first tiebreaker for a 3-team tie. If Florence wins later, then this is all just for, you know, your insight and understanding.
That's why you're up here, because I don't understand it all.
Long look at second. Another long look at second, and you could feel that timeout call coming.
Yes, I was waiting on somebody.
Is it possible that they gave him the signal there just to wait in the stretch?
Very much so, probably.
Another hard shot, snared in the backhand by Beaster, and he'll go and get the lead runner at third base. What a play.
I tell you what, give Harrison Beaster credit. I tell you what, that was going to be his only play, Evan. And you can see this ball right here. taking him toward third base, and he had him right in front of him. That was going to be it. That was going to be the only play he even had a chance on. Great play.
Not all that common. 6'5" force at third base.
You don't ever write that down very much, do you? I tell you, that's a tough play.
2 outs for Lichtenberg. Even though they're up 5-0, they almost want to treat this like a 1-0 or 2-0 game. Try to keep Iowa off the board. Fly ball, right field. Clemente is there. And Cedar Rapids remains scoreless. Great work by Chase Nelson navigating out of that predicament. We go to the 5th in a 5-0 ball game.
Veterans, when you're struggling, soon becomes later, becomes someday, becomes when. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Those new tiles are falling right into place until you run out of, what are those called again? Oh, right. The Home Depot app is made for doing that doesn't miss a beat, so you can find what you need fast and keep things moving in the right direction. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
For the 13th straight year, Shelby, North Carolina hosting the American Legion World Series. I'm gonna have to get some popcorn in between this game and the next one.
I've been to that one. I went there and got popcorn there. I went next door and got some where they're smoking meat at next door to that. Man, this is a great place. I'm telling you what, people here in Shelby do a great job. A lot of volunteers. They put thousands of hours in. You know, they'll start working on next year's as soon as this one's over, and they do a great job, I tell you.
And look, I just thought the popcorn looked and smelled good, but it might be a real popcorn matchup with Brooklawn and Florence. You know, Florence 2-0, the only remaining undefeated team left at this year's World Series. And then you got Brooklawn, the 4-time national champ, the 17-time regional champ, the all-time winningest program in Legion baseball, and you know, they're fighting for their lives. And if this score holds the way it is right now, then that will become a quarterfinal.
Yes, it will.
Winner will move on, loser will go home, and we won't need to do any math later tonight to add up numbers and runs allowed and runs scored and the square root of the pitcher's angle, and we won't need any protractors or anything.
Right, you're exactly right. It's gonna make it a fun game.
All right, Harrison Beester flashing a little leather last inning and now leading off here in the 5th. Beester has drawn 2 of the 9 walks that Lincoln, Nebraska has received so far in this game. Four of the 9 guys who walked and went on to score. I beg your pardon, just 3. Beester not waiting around for a walk this time. He'll start the inning with a single.
Tell you what, how many times you make a great play like he made at shortstop, then you come up to bat and get a hit?
About 1/9 of the time. Here's Landon Sandy, the hero at the regional. What a moment that was for this Lincoln, Nebraska program. Sandy driving in Tanner Peterson to score the winning run to clinch the Central Plains regional title. And it was extra special for Landon Sandy because during the state tournament, the week earlier, he didn't get that big of a role. He was not a huge factor, but he's one of those guys that got a bigger opportunity with Troy Peltz and Joey Senstock and Jeter Worthley no longer eligible to play.
Yeah, and then come into a big role and did a great job. When you get your chance, you got to take the opportunities, right? Wally Pipp.
That's what it's all about.
Wally Pipp. Nobody, really realizes who Wally Pipp is. And then
that's the irony of it, is that baseball folks know who Wally Pipp is. Now, I couldn't tell you much about him other than that he's the guy that
Lou Gehrig
took his spot.
Yep.
Swing and a miss. Did you ever get to know Ryan Miner in the big leagues?
No, I didn't.
Ryan Miner's claim to fame is that he played third base the night Cal Ripken Jr. stepped aside and ended his streak. Miner played third for Baltimore that night. Popped up, the runner was going behind home plate, and a nice play made by Lechtenberg.
Wow, he made that look pretty easy.
Yeah, well done. Beaster back to first, and Kai Berkey will be up next. Ryan Miner was the hitting coach of the Delmarva Shorebirds my 1 year as a radio broadcaster there.
Really?
So I got to know Ryan well. And, Ryan was a great basketball player as well. He was a all Big 8 guy at Oklahoma. This one popped foul back over the right side. So he was in NBA training camp, but found a home in the Orioles organization, and is coached in the Orioles organization for many years, managed in the minors. Great guy. The first ever road trip I went on in the minor leagues, I was, this was April of 2008, so I was not even 23 years old. I was young, still learning my way as the runner goes, and it's close but not in time down there at second base. You can tell from body language, Andrew Robinson thought they had him, but it's a stolen base for Beaster. And the first ever road trip I went on with the Shorebirds was to Lake County, Ohio. So it was a long bus ride. We had a day off, and the off day was the bus ride. It was like 8.5 hours, and it was a Monday. This one popped back behind home plate, but Lechtenberg won't have a look at it. And on that Monday, it was Championship Monday, the Final Four. You may remember Kansas and Memphis.
Right.
And it was the Derrick Rose Memphis team, and Mario Chalmers hit the shot at the end of regulation. Tied it. Kansas won it overtime. I was just walking across the street from the hotel looking to grab some dinner and watch the game, and I run into Ryan Miner, and I end up watching the whole game with this guy who was, an all-star college basketball player, also played in the big leagues. This was my first ever road trip with a minor league professional team. I was 22 years old, and Ryan's just telling me stories from his career. It's a memory I'll absolutely never forget. That ball roped deep to left field by Berkey, and reaching up to make the catch, Dinesen.
Wow. I did not think there was any way that he was going to get to that ball when it left the bat. And he just tracked it down, and what a great play by Dinesen. Wow.
And Beaster, I think, the base runner at second, was surprised as well, because he was not in position to tag.
Yeah.
So he did not move over to third. He's still at second base, and A.J. Avasco's coming up next. Avasco 1 for 3 with a first inning triple. Nebraska still leads 5-0. They've led since the top of the first when they scored 3 times. Anyway, that was definitely a very cool welcome to pro ball moment for me, not as a player, but as a broadcaster.
Well, those are the times that I, miss, the minor leagues, on the buses,
Hard shot up the middle, a base hit. Beaster's going to be waved around. Canucks throw from center will be cut off, and it's 6-0 for Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, I tell you what, Vasco is showing you exactly what type of ball player he is and why he's so highly recruited. I tell you what, taking that ball right back up the middle, and I don't think there was any way to get Beaster. He's quick.
And Vasco's taken some good swings.
Yes, he has.
He's now 2 for 4 with 2 RBI.
And this guy right here at the plate coming up has had some good swings also.
Springer, as you said, recruited to Missouri State. Still has 1 more year of high school.
As a Vasco also. That's what's nuts. These guys are going to be good. It would remind me, like I was saying, of a young Mike Piazza or Vinny Castilla.
Because of the stance or the hair?
Well, the way he hit, but the stance and the hair, a little bit of everything. Kind of how he handles himself. I love how he's got the towels in the back pocket. Gatorade towel.
Foul back by Springer. You know, it does make me a little sad that there's never going to be another Mike Piazza. And what I mean by that is they have cut down the draft so significantly. Now they're only 20 rounds. There used to be 50 or 60.
And he was drafted in what, 60th round?
Something like that.
60th round, I think, as a favor to Tommy Lasorda.
He was the 62nd round pick in the '88 draft for the Dodgers.
As a favor for Tommy Lasorda.
His dad asked Lasorda to select him as a favor. And
the rest
from
history.
The 62nd round to Cooperstown.
Boy, he could hit too.
Inducted 2016. You ever strike him out?
I'd have to go back and look. Yeah, I know he's hit a home run off of me. I'd have to go back and look. See if
you remember the home run.
Yeah, at Shea Stadium, actually, when he was with the Mets.
3-2. Down and away. Number 10.
Right fielder, number 12, Ryan Clemente.
Spencer Wood getting loose in the bullpen. This was the assistant coach, Brad Day, going to the mound, so not a pitching change, but just a mound visit. Did you know that Mike Piazza is currently the manager of the Italian national baseball team?
I had no idea. If you look at the swings of the way they get in the box of Springer and him, you could see a lot of similarities, even with Vinny Castilla.
So it's now 6-0, and look, Nebraska's happy to score as many as they can. And, you know, if they get 4 more, then the 10-run rule through 5 innings becomes a factor. But more important than the runs scored, or the runs allowed, and I guess you could say they only need to get 3 more outs if they get 4 more runs first. And that could be a way to make it easier to shut out this Iowa team and guarantee their spot. It's the game beneath the game right now.
Do you think that, which I'm sure they do you think that the Derek Urquhart with South Carolina and New Jersey, do you think they're sitting there looking at all this and the scenarios and everything with what's going on?
I mean,
you would think.
I would assume that they went into this game knowing that they were rooting for Iowa to score a bunch of runs. But looks like Nebraska's going to get their second win, of course. There's still time. Clemente has a hit and a walk already. Seven different hitters have drawn a walk in the Nebraska lineup. And that includes 3 guys who have drawn multiple walks.
Multiple walks.
Another 3-2 pitch. That ball drilled down the left field line, but foul.
I just got a text, Evan, from Mr. Ross Hickson. Sitting at home, just got home from here and sitting there watching the game on TV.
I like it. Of course, I'm sure he'd
rather be
prefer
here.
to still be here.
Yes, I know he would. Yes, he would. He's a very competitive person, just like I am. And
got the fond memories from a year ago, the World Series trip. Another 3-2, foul back.
just like I told him last night, though, he can't go as much as I would want to, or he would want to. We'd want to go out there and do it for them. You can't do it.
Well, look, only 6 teams all time in 96 years have gone back to back. 3-2, well hit, but hanging in the air for Dinesen out in left, and he will put it away. 2 more runners left. That's now 8 men left, 10 men left in 5 innings. 6-0 Nebraska.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Yeah, I played Legion from 13 to 15, and I remember there was a lot of focus on fundamentals, especially with my team. So we did a lot of bunting, a lot of defensive work. So I think it put me in a good place with knowing the basics of the game and the important fundamentals to be able to build off that as I got older. So I mean, that was definitely valuable, but there was also a lot of good competition, especially in our little conference or whatever. So I mean, overall it was great. It was great for me.
Well, Chase Nelson getting the start for Lincoln, Nebraska today. Got the first 5 men in order. 3 strikeouts in that mix. He's surrendered 3 singles, Woody, but he's done a really nice job mixing pitches, keeping the other team off balance, and 4 scoreless innings, trying to keep it rolling here into the 5th.
Yeah, and you see his line score there, 4 innings pitched, like you said, 3 hits, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts, and he's doing exactly what they needed him to do, and big 0 up there for Iowa right now, which is key for, this Nebraska team.
And there's a wide disparity in the number of walks one team has given the other versus the other team.
10 to
0.
Yep.
53 pitches, 34 strikes so far for Chase Nelson.
Third baseman, number 2, Michael Bay.
7-8-9 for Prairie Legion, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Here in the 5th. Day, Denison, and Meyer. We mentioned the 3 D1 commits that are not playing for Lincoln, Nebraska. Joey Senstock, Troy Pelt, and Jeter Worthley, all going to really good schools, Nebraska and Michigan.
And I think Nebraska also tutored him to Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. That ball cracked out to left, and it's a leadoff single for Michael Day. The coach of the Legion ball team for Lincoln, Michael Lonick, has said he'd love to see the American Legion tweak the rules to allow players who have been with the team all summer to take part in a non-Legion showcase and then be allowed to return to play in the state, regional, and national tournament. He says it's something they're talking about, not changing this year, and that's understandable, but he thinks in the future that would be a good thing to give a little bit more flexibility. And obviously you don't want Legion teams just picking up ringers that haven't played with them all year long. Maybe there's a small window of time. I'm curious to hear what you think about that.
Well, I just think, I mean, a rule's a rule, and you know, it is what it is. And
would you like?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more circumstances to this one than we all know, and I don't, you know. But there's a reason there's a rule. The American Legion has that in place, and whether it's right or wrong or whatever it may be, you know, I mean, it's it ain't gonna get changed this year for sure. Yeah. So, you know, I've just always been a person, like I was having this conversation actually last night with Ross Hickson, you know, in his room after the games, and we were sitting here talking, and you know, I would never leave my team to go somewhere else and do anything else. If my team was playing or there, I would be there 100% of the time. And I don't know if what happened in the situation or what, if they missed games or what, but it's just the way it is.
4th strikeout for Chase Nelson.
And you just really don't want to just give any attention to that. You know, you want these guys here got here without them, you know, so you give credit to these guys.
That's true.
You know, how great did these guys do, you know? Says a lot. Well, says a lot about their character.
They're on their way to being 53-11 with a spot in the semifinals if they can maintain the shutout for sure. Line drive center field. It'll drop in front of Gaines. Reed Myers got his first hit here in Shelby, and the Cedar Rapids offense has 2 on with 1 away.
Wow, that was a little close there at second too. It was nearly a force out from the center fielder to the second baseman on that base hit.
Cade Canuck back at the top of the lineup. 60 pitches so far for Chase Nelson. Canuck struck out in the 1st, popped up in the 3rd. 5 hits now in the game for Iowa, but all of them have been singles.
You know, Chase Nelson, he does a really good job. I mean, I'm not a huge guy picking the bases and doing this and that, but holding the ball, hold the ball, hold the ball. And then one time comes set pitch. I mean, just changing your looks, changing your times to the plate.
Oh,
but
look.
He don't need to be really worrying about him, Evan. You know what I mean? I mean, I know I don't know if he's out there thinking, okay, I can't give up a run, but I mean, I would be trying to get this hitter out, especially if it's a 6-0 game.
You don't see the hold the ball, hold the ball, hold the ball as much in the big leagues anymore with the pitch clock.
Yeah, it has changed. It's changed the game a lot.
I'm sure you've thought about how you would have reacted as a pitcher.
It wouldn't have affected me at all because I worked extremely fast. You know, we saw a guy with, Brady Richardson pitch the other night that went really fast. You'll see Jacob Sear, if he's able to come back and pitch on Tuesday, you'll see him work extremely fast. there's something to be said for working fast. You keep your defense, you know, on their toes, and you keep them ready, and they love it. And they'll back you up when you do that. See, I'm just in a different situation. If I was pitching right here, I know Chase is, you know, looking at that guy there. I wouldn't even look at that guy on the second base right now. I'd be just worried about getting this guy at home.
2-1 to Canuck. Outside.
Now that runner just is just a distraction out there to get your mind off the hitter. And all of a sudden then you take your mind off of the hitter and you end up doubling the gap, and then there's 2 runs scored with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, the complexion changes significantly if all of a sudden the score becomes 6-2, 6-3. Not even from the result of this game standpoint, but for the potential tiebreaker.
Yeah.
(3-1). Potential double play ball. Berkey will just go to first.
I'll tell you what, Canuck, he got down that line quick and really beat that out. And that's what you want to see right there. That was some straight hustle.
Ball hit not quite sharply enough for Berkey to feel confident that he could go to second. So second and third with 2 outs. And a mound visit from Noah Kulhanek, the pitching coach for Lincoln, Nebraska. .65 pitches so far for Chase Nelson. This is the hairiest predicament he's been in so far. In fact, Michael Day is the first Cedar Rapids base runner to reach third base yet in this game. And again,
I wonder what they're talking about.
Well,
just give him a little break.
I mean, it could be giving him a little break. I doubt they're running through the scenarios of the tiebreakers. That's not what's going on. But I think the coaching staff recognizes the importance of this.
I agree.
Because if these 2 runs come in, all of a sudden Lincoln's then allowed 5 runs. And it just changes the dynamic. For example, again, if these 2 runs came in and then Brooklawn won their game 1-0, you know, all of a sudden there's the potential that Nebraska could be eliminated. Two in scoring position with 2 outs. I think the intensity of this feels much bigger than a 6. It feels like a 2-0 game and not a 6-0 game. Nelson fires. Pulled that fastball a little bit. Maddox Freeze 1 for 2 in the game. He's 2 for 9 in the tournament. By the tournament, I mean here at the World Series, not including the regional.
Wow, big pitch there from Chase Nelson.
One of the better fastballs he's had tonight.
For sure. 2's up on the board, 2-2.
Deuce is wild.
Yes, it is.
2 in scoring position with 2 outs. Said it feels like it's 2-0.
And you got to wonder, you see the shadows there on the field. Hard for that hitter to see the ball well.
Nelson trying to finish off Freeze. Just getting a piece. Is there a certain pitch that's tougher to deal with, whether it's a fastball or a curveball?
Well, it's hard to pick up spin, you know, and you know, it that way. But I mean, I just think it's in general, it's just tough to, you know, depth perception and seeing the pitch. Everything goes from bright to dark.
Another 2-2. Grounded to third, snared by Peterson. Throw to first is on the money. The shutout continues into the 6th inning. Nebraska in front 6-0.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Or the best experience for me, it was a small, family-oriented thing that, if you wanted to play, you had the ability to.
On the first inning, a leadoff walk was the preface, and then the A.J. Avasco triple got the scoring started before an out was reported, and it has been basically all Lincoln, Nebraska ever since.
Yeah, it has. Springer swinging the bat well. You look here in the 4th inning right here, and you got Tanner Peterson driving that ball there into the gap to drive in Mr. Springer, and it's just been all Nebraska. And you see Avasco again, just swinging the bat extremely well and driving in Beaster here from third base.
And to say it's been all Nebraska might be a little misleading, because look, last couple innings, Iowa's had multiple base runners in both of them, but
it's been Chase Nelson just doing, just getting out of it.
Nelson has made the clutch pitches when necessary. So here's Spencer Wood, third pitcher of the game for this Iowa squad. Wagemeister came in for Burkle, and now the ball in the hands of Spencer Wood. And a foul ball off the bat of Mason Gaines, who's just looking to make contact. He's the only member of this lineup that has not reached base yet in the ball game.
And what's crazy is I do not have a stat on Spencer Wood for the season or regionals. So I'm assuming he's pitched before he's out on the mound, but no stats at all. I'd say he has. That's pretty good curveball.
Well, there's the first time for every pitcher, but probably not at the World Series pitching for the first time.
Right.
1-2. Some big pitches that last inning, Woody, from Chase Nelson to get out of that jam, stranding 2 in scoring position. The shutout intact. And a base hit to left field for Mason Gaines. So now every member of this Lincoln, Nebraska lineup has reached base, and Dinesen misplays it and gives him a free extra base.
Yeah, that ball was spinning pretty good as it got out there to him, and I think he may have took his eyes off of it as it got to him and missed it. So let's see right here. Spinning, 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 and whoop, just missed.
It's a lonely feeling out there when that happens. I've been there. Pretty good bunt. And there's no play.
Great bunt. Wow.
First and third, as Tanner Peterson now has 2 hits and 2 walks in his 4 plate appearances today. Peterson's a gamer.
Yes, he is. I don't think you could put it down any better than that. Third baseman's playing back, and there's just no way for Spencer Wood to make that play.
And that gets away, and here comes Gaines to score. Peterson up to second on the wild pitch. And look, this Nebraska team has now scored at least one run in 5 of their 6 innings so far in the ball game. 7-0. And another pitch gets away, and you're seeing some of the inexperience out there from Spencer Wood.
You know, I've got a great. I want to ask Chase Nelson after the game, after if he's able to throw a shutout right here and get out of this. I want to ask him if he did know what was going on with everything and with the tiebreakers and him trying to have to keep somebody from scoring.
Yeah, I mean it's not something you want to put pressure on a kid. Well, hey, we need to throw a shutout, but at the same time, it's good to know the situation where, I mean, they know that if they shut him out and win the game, they're for sure advancing. Whereas if they win the game 7-6, then they're rooting for Florence to beat Brooklawn, and if Brooklawn wins, then the tiebreakers become a factor.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You try to do more things that you can do, and you know, trying to throw a shutout or telling yourself that before you go out there, usually a lot of times bad things can happen. But he's done an exceptional job today.
Peterson at second, 3-2 to Lessig. There's pressure on every pitch. With the season on the line for both teams. (3-2), foul back. You know, things certainly look bleak for Cedar Rapids. Mathematically, they're still alive. Now they would need to score like at least 18 runs in the next 2 innings but you know, I'm just mathematically.
The fat lady hasn't sung yet, right?
No, she's getting warmed up though. Runner what? Fouled off by Lessig. Semifinals start tomorrow at 4 o'clock. You know that Cheyenne, Wyoming will be in the first game. League City, Texas will be in the second. There's the 11th walk of the game received by Lincoln, Nebraska.
And I'm assuming that first game with Wyoming, we'll see Coulter McAnally in that first game tomorrow.
You would think.
You would think that. And he threw a great game the other day. You know, it was just struck out 9. Actually had a World Series record up until it was broken later that night.
Pickoff attempt down at second, not in time. Harrison Beester, like Tanner Peterson, has not made an out in this game. He's walked twice and also singled. Beester, one of the leaders in the eye black department on this Lincoln, Nebraska team. Runners are going, pitches a strike, throw to third is, not in time. Close play. But Leo Curiel said that Peterson snuck in there with his second steal of the game.
Close, and let's see that hand. Yep.
I think he beat the tag.
Yep. Hands in, touch him on the shoulder. Now the infield's playing in.
Again, right now, Nebraska needs to get 6 more outs, but if they were able to score 3 more runs, then they would be in a position of getting 3 outs if he could hold them scoreless. The runs allowed being the first tiebreaker, it really makes things interesting at this stage of the tournament, because it also forces you to if you're in a tiebreaker potential, you can't save a good pitcher.
You got to get him out there.
Think you can win a shootout, you know, because winning 1-0 is better than winning 11-10.
Right.
Seven runs already in. They've received 11 walks, make it 12. And we are inching closer to ignominiously setting the record for the 2nd time this weekend. Pitching coach Brad Day coming to the mound to chat with Spencer Wood. You've got like a strained look in your eyes, Woody, and I understand that being a pitcher, not liking to see walks, but the intrigue here, the potential for history for the 2nd time in 4 days.
We don't want that history. We do not want that history. And I think everybody, the camera people and everybody, the crew that's in the truck, nobody wants that.
Sometimes it's not about what you want, it's about enjoying the experience, no matter what it will be.
Designated hitter, number 15.
Bases are loaded for Landon Sandy. He had the game-winning hit in the regional, but he's still looking for his first hit here at the World Series. Peterson at 3rd, Lessig at 2nd, Beester at 1st. Nebraska received 3 walks in the 1st, 4 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 1 more in the 5th, 2 more here in the 6th. And to second base, out number 1 and 2. 1 more run comes in, but it is a 4-6-3 double play. And Sandy does not get another RBI. 8-0 for Lincoln, Nebraska with 2 outs.
Yeah, good job of turning that double play right there, I tell you. Andrew Robinson, good turn, and Maddox freeze and double play.
So here's Kai Berkey. He's also looking for his first hit. He did walk and score back in the 1st. First hit today. He's got 3 hits in the World Series already. Iowa will have the 3-4-5 trio coming up in the bottom of the 6th. And that's a fair ball down the 3rd base line. 9-0 Nebraska. To second, Berkey safely with a double. AJ Avasco steps in with the opportunity to surge the game into that 10-run mercy rule territory. Obviously, Iowa will get there at bat in the bottom of the 6th. Wave and a miss from Avasco.
Yeah, he tried to put a 2 spot up on the board.
Well, they only need 1.
Yep, he tried to put a 2 spot up though.
Could not check his swing, said Joe Volpe. He's behind 0-2. Oh my. Trying to spin a curveball in there on the 0-2 count. Avasco takes it right between the numbers. I guess right on the number 7.
And you see this curveball getting away from Spencer Wood and just run on the butt.
The catcher, number 19, Garrett Springer.
So Garrett Springer, a single and 2 walks. And he flies it out to center, but it's playable for Canuck, who shades to his right to make the catch. 3 runs in on 3 hits, 2 walks, a hit batter, 2 more runners left. 9-0. Nine runs on 9 hits, 12 walks, and a hit batter. There have been plenty of ducks stranded on the pond, but Nebraska comfortably in front, 9-0. And Chase Nelson returns to work. 71 pitches in his first 6 innings. He's got 44 darts left to try and get through these next 2 innings, and if they can maintain the shutout, there will be no doubt that we will see Nebraska tomorrow, regardless of what transpires tonight between Florence and Brooklawn. And Nelson, I mean, he's had a lot of long waits with the walks and the pitching visits, and yet he just comes back to the mound and looks fantastic. Gets ahead and then gets some weak contact for out number 1 off the bat of Noah Day.
I thought he fouled off his foot because he stopped running. I wasn't sure what happened right there. But
it was strange.
Yeah.
Andrew Robinson has one of the 5 Iowa hits in the game. But no one has gotten around the bases quite yet. Popped up in the infield. Kai Berkey takes care of it. 2 quick outs here in the 6th for Chase Nelson.
The designated hitter, number 8, Mason Chipkash.
It's a big time effort from Chase Nelson today.
Yes, it is. Big time.
He's only struck out 4, but
just kept him off balance and
sure
let
has.
his defense play. And Beester's made some good plays, and
he just looked in control out there. He's maintained his focus really nicely. Right at the shortstop, Beester. Did he drop it?
No, he was flipping it between his legs and everything.
Okay. Okay. Getting a little fancy. Nebraska can taste a spot in the semis. 9-0. Still the shutout intact.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. Be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Just being around with the guys, you know, and now we can, you know, Chris Franca and Toby and some of the guys that I play with, we talk about it, you know. Yeah, man, remember, you know, 15 years ago when, and those are, like I say, memories that you don't trade it for anything. Those are things that get stuck with you.
Well, look at the pool play standings in the Stars division. League City with a win over Cheyenne via the no-hitter gets the top spot, but Cheyenne bounces back from the no-no to advance to the semis with wins over Maine and Alabama. Still to come tonight, Florence, South Carolina, and Brooklawn, New Jersey. We got the only team that's still undefeated against the all-time winningest program. That game's scheduled for 7 o'clock, although depending on how much longer this one lasts, it could get pushed back a little bit. Semifinals start tomorrow. League City will be in the night game as the winner of the pool. Cheyenne, Wyoming, 4 o'clock first pitch in the first semifinal as we near the business end of this awesome event here in Shelby, North Carolina.
Now batting number 24, Keith Canuck.
So we got a new batter, Keith Canuck, pinch hitting for Ryan Clemente. With a 9-0 lead in the 7th inning against the lefty Spencer Wood. Wood seeking his first strikeout of his outing. He's the third pitcher of the day for Iowa. Burkle struggled in the first, recalibrated a little bit, looked good in the second and the third, but then ran out of gas. Chopper to the mound. Woods got it. One gone here in the top of the 7th for Mason Gaines. Iowa has 6, 7, and 8 due up in the last of the 7th. Mathematically, Woody, they are still alive. They need 20 runs to give themselves a chance in the 7th inning. It would be one heck of a story.
Yes, it would. I don't know if I've ever seen that many runs scored in one inning, but yes, it would. But they couldn't score that much because the ball game would be over, correct?
It's a good question.
Because the ball game would be over. It'd be.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
So
I was thinking about the 10-run rule factor, which would have been a factor in the bottom of the 6th, but in the bottom of the 7th, you're right. If they win the game, you know.
So are they mathematically eliminated now then?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, if they even if they won this game 13-9 with a walk-off grand slam, their runs allowed have put them in a position that it would not get them, because they've allowed more runs than Nebraska for the tournament. Anyway, you're right. It's a good point. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Gaines with the ignominious 4 strikeouts. But his team likely will live to see another day.
Yeah.
So you're right. Iowa's eliminated mathematically now. And it's about whether Nebraska can preserve the shutout and take away the tiebreaker conversation for the next game, because no one can have fewer runs allowed than this Nebraska team. So if it did end up being a tie now, I don't know if Nebraska would have a preference whether they want to face League City or Cheyenne.
I think they don't care. I think they'd just rather be in right after this and be done with it.
And that's the case. But depending on the result, you know, if Brooklawn does win and Nebraska's maintained the shutout, then Nebraska will have won the pool, because all the teams would be 2-1 and they would have the fewest runs allowed. So if Florence wins, Florence would be the winner of the pool, and if Brooklawn wins, then Nebraska would win the pool, and Brooklawn would be in the semis.
You see the Florence, South Carolina guys right there, Evan.
They look like Gamecocks.
Ready to play.
Because they play for a Gamecock.
Yep.
Gamecock Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir. Derek Urquhart.
1-2 pitch to Peterson. Peterson trying to go this whole game without making an out. This is his 5th plate appearance. He's got 2 hits and 2 walks. It's a good day when you reach base 5 times.
Yes, it is.
Here comes the 2-2 from Wood. Peterson to the left side, snared by Michael Day, and he flips it across to his brother Noah to retire the side. So Peterson finishes 2 for 3 with 2 hits and 2 walks. To the last of the 7th we go.
I think I was like 10 maybe. Our team came in 2nd. I wouldn't accept the 2nd place trophy. I didn't want 2nd place. I didn't want it. I was in tears, crying. My coach told me, you won't have success if you can't handle failure. That's big, not just for hitting, for anything in life.
Those new tiles are falling right into place until you run out of, what are those called again? That's it. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app.
Back to the business at hand for Chase Nelson. He's thrown 6 scoreless innings on a day when Nebraska knew they could guarantee their spot in the semifinals if they shut out this Cedar Rapids, Iowa team. Now, that's a tall task when you begin the game in the 1st, but now that we're here in the 7th and it's 9-zip, it feels very much within reach. And if this shutout reaches its conclusion, then the remaining game tonight becomes a de facto quarterfinal between Brooklawn, New Jersey.
And there's old Brooklawn right there.
And Florence, South Carolina. And look, this Nebraska team lost their 1st game. They got a great performance in their 2nd game against Brooklawn behind Paul Shortridge to stay alive. 5-hit shutout. Now it's Chase Nelson looking for his own 5-hit shutout. Got plenty of pitches to work with. That's his 78th. And like so many other hitters, he begins trading Lechtenberg with a strike. And it's quickly 0-2. Last swings for this Iowa team that has made a Cinderella run to Shelby. Cedar Rapids missed their opportunities. Left a bunch of runners on base yesterday. Haven't come up with a clutch hit today either. To left field, Lessig, 1 away.
Third baseman number 2, Michael Day.
We've seen some good pitching performances the last 4 days. This is game number 11, but you know, I don't want to say Nelson has had the best stuff of anyone we've seen, but his demeanor and comportment on the mound has really been among the best, if not the best.
Yeah, he's cool as a cucumber out there, I tell you what. Just
couple situations he got into, 2 on in the 4th, 2 on in the 5th, able to wriggle out of those jams.
Didn't stress out. He ain't stressed out at all. Another good pitch.
4
right
strikeouts, no walks, 10 flyouts, 5 groundouts.
I would have to, you know what, their defense is so good. I'd have to go back and look at Paul Shortridge's line yesterday, and he only had like 2 strikeouts, I think, the entire day, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and look, but so he let his defense play. You know, he threw a complete game. And
yep. Nelson deals up high. 2-2. Whoa. That one slipped. Count runs full.
Yeah, he had 2 strikeouts yesterday. That's, you know, he let his defense play. I tell you what, that's 2 strikeouts, and he threw 104 pitches.
Three-two. Called. Wow. Third strike.
Wow, big pitch there by Chase Nelson. His 5th strikeout of the day. It looked like one of his best fastballs of the day. Just right on the outside part of the plate. And Springer bringing it right back over the plate.
2 down in the 7th. Ty Denison stepping in. The last chance for Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The other 7 regional champs qualified on Sunday because of multiple delays. The Cedar Rapids boys had to wait until Monday to officially punch their ticket to Shelby. And it was an incredible run for this Iowa team, but it is on the verge of reaching its conclusion.
Down to their last strike right here.
Chase Nelson to finish it off. Not that pitch.
I don't know if he wouldn't have caught that, if that wouldn't have been a strike.
Might have been.
And then Nelson lost his hat. And
Nebraska team ready to celebrate, relax, and get ready for tomorrow. They needed a shutout to ensure their spot. They're a strike away. Nelson fires and spikes a curveball. Looking for their second shutout of the pool play, and they've got it.
Wow.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Chase Nelson to cap his 7-inning, 9-0 shutout that secures the spot in the semifinals for the Carpetland Rugs from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, and you can see Chase Nelson, how excited he is right there, and doing a little chest bump. But Evan, let's give credit to Iowa for getting here. You know, you talked about that, how hard it is to get here. They done a great job to get here, come up short here in the World Series, but let's give credit to Nebraska. I tell you what, how about Chase Nelson? Did everything he had to do today to get his team, without even having to worry about it, into the semifinals, and with a little help from Vasco and Springer and some of the guys, unbelievable job.
He was so laser focused for 7 innings, the 92 pitches he threw, and then the game ends and he's jumping around. Yep. You can see the emotion. You can see what it means. He's letting his guard down a little bit. We will see this Nebraska team led by Michael Lonick tomorrow in the semifinals. We still have one more berth to fill, and it will be the winner of the next game between Florence, South Carolina and Brooklawn, New Jersey. Hope you'll stick around and join us for that one. It'll start about 40 minutes from now. For Steve Woodard and our entire crew, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long for the moment. Nebraska with a shutout win, moving on to the semis.